Hello, Sebastian. So Sebastian, as a leader in organizations and a chief mindsetter, is been helping people and supporting them for over 10 years in professional and personal development. He brings his experiences really of teacher, leader, entrepreneur, father, husband, and lifelong learner to his mission, supporting people just of great stories, creating internationally and creating the life they long for. So we have his details there if you want to kind of like get in touch with him after. And off to you, Sebastian, go ahead.
Well, thank you, and a warm welcome to all of you. I appreciate you spending this time with me here today. And it's my understanding that more than likely you came in order to learn how to upgrade the blueprint of your mind. If that's not the topic you came, then I apologize. This may be the wrong room. But from that, I thank you very much. I would like to start real quick with a bit of logistical introduction and then dive right in, if that's all right. Because from what I've seen so far on Intonations, this workshop today might work a little differently from what you're used to. And here's why. I like to play a little differently, and that means there'll be no slides. And pretty soon I'll stop talking at you and we'll make it as much of a hands-on workshop as we can. What I've brought for you is a content part around the rules of the mind, because nobody ever teaches you how your mind really works. And as long as you don't know that, when you try to go change anything in your life, you find yourself with discipline trying to fight against yourself. And that's what we're going to take out of it with the part about the rules of the mind. The second part of the workshop today will focus on the most powerful part of your mind, and that is your subconscious. And I will take you on a little journey, on a guided meditation to really get in touch with that part of your mind, the part that is actually getting in the way of you changing things. From that, for those of you brave enough, I will offer an opportunity for some live coaching and debriefing on what we've done here, and then we'll close with Q&A. Okay, and there'll be an opportunity for you in small groups to sort of look at what we've done as well. And with that, I don't like to set expectations, because as a manager and as a leader, I've learned that it's all about agreements. See, expectations is something I have and something you have, and then everything else falls somewhat in between and falls flat. So here are the agreements I want to propose for how I would like to play with you today. And yes, to me, this is fun. And this is all play. So if you haven't noticed yet, I'm a bit excited about the topic. And just to get you excited about it, I'd ask three things. One is bring an open mind. What that means to me is be extraordinarily coachable. You might hear things today that excite you, and you might hear things today where you go, can't be. Whatever it is, I ask that you approach it from the mindset of, what can I learn from this for myself? What can I learn from others for myself? And then just like when you try on a new piece of clothing at the store, just try it on and wear it around for the duration of the workshop. At the end of the workshop, leave anything you don't like, right? And take what you want to keep. But for the duration of the workshop, try it on for size. Secondly, I ask that you play with an open heart. Help me create a space here where we can all interact. To me, that means turn on your camera, be visible for us, right? Allow for the human interaction. That also means be supportive of the others in the room, right? Contribute to the workshop as well as the small groups. Play vulnerably and with an open heart to increase the value for everyone. And thirdly, bring an open will. What that means to me is consider that what you get out of this workshop has nothing to do with what I present. It has everything to do with what you're looking for. So stay to the end and take all the value that you can get from our time together. Those agreements cool with everyone? Awesome. Then let's dive right into me as a person and leading by example. Hyatt gave you sort of the resume, right? The facts. And here's the story. It's about 3 years ago that our third child was on the way. And I was feeling restless. I was feeling constrained. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was not looking forward to that child being born. And that told me something is really off. And in searching for an answer to why, I found myself stumbling upon a guided meditation by Marissa Peer, which some of you might have heard of before. And just listening to that meditation, towards the end of it, I was on my living room floor crying, just releasing pent up, stored up emotion, having gotten in touch with a part of the answer to why I wasn't happy and wasn't fulfilled, even though I seemed to have everything in my life. Because I got in touch with a small child inside of me that was still feeling lonely, that had still me as a grown man of way past 30 feeling like I'm not enough, that had me still trying to earn love. And when I got up from the floor and wiped off the tears from my face, for the first time, I looked in the mirror that I can remember and actually recognized the person looking back as myself, not the stranger who I knew was wearing my face. And that's when I decided, wow, this is powerful, and I'm going to continue doing this. And I want to do this for other people. And in that journey for the last 3 years, I learned everything I could about how does the mind work? What's mental fitness? How do we get rid of the judging voice that puts us down? How can I help others to get to where they're at? That's why I'm here today. Now, here's the part I'm really not comfortable with you knowing about me, and I'm going to share it anyway. It was only this year that I finally turned this journey of self-exploration on the part of my life that I knew would hurt the most, that I finally applied it to the most important relationship in my life. And that process did not turn out the way I wanted it to. And so a few months ago, the mother of my children and I decided to still raise our children together, but not as a couple. And that process brought a level of despair, pain, and hurt to me that had me on my knees, really questioning what I was going to do with it. And somehow in that moment, I actually remembered who I truly was. You see, until then, I pretended to have healed that inner child. Until then, I talked the same way I do now, but with a different kind of aura about it. I was faking it until I made it. And it was only a few months ago that I truly made it, that I remembered who I am and that I can own that I've completed the journey. I've eradicated my limiting belief around not being good enough. And I now truly know how to create the space for people to remember who they truly are. And that is the mission in my business, and that is the mission in my life, whether it's for my children, my friends, or my clients. And that's truly what brought me here today. And with that, I invite you to step into that space that I'm creating and take a few steps towards remembering who you truly are. And let's start with a bit of an easy warm-up. Raise your hand for me if you've ever set a New Year's resolution and sort of gave up on it or threw it out by February that same year. Anyone? Cool, thanks. Keep your hand up or raise your hand for me if you will. If you've ever tried to lose weight and either gave up or a couple of months put it all back on. Anyone? Okay, got one more for you, and then I think you got the point. Who here tried to, raise your hand if you've tried to build a habit around self-care, journaling, meditation, and you started out all enthusiastically. It worked for a couple of days, maybe even a couple of weeks. And now when you think about it, you can't remember when the last time was that you did it. Anyone? All right. And we could go on and on and on. You get the point, right? When we want to change something in our lives, we start out enthusiastically. We've learned that with discipline and whatever else, right, we are to get this right. And then we fight what? Ourselves, the circumstances, and we see it all go by the wayside. So let me take you into the rules of the mind, the three most important ones that will completely change that game for you. Because rather than continue fighting against yourself with discipline, you can then take that and really start working with your mind to affect literally any change you want in your life. Ready? I do not have slides, but I will share my email address after. And if you email me, I'm happy to share the notes, right? A little worksheet on the 3 rules. So don't get too caught up in taking notes. I will tell you about the 3 most important rules of the mind. And for each rule, I will tell you sort of what is the rule. I'll illustrate it so that you get real quick, like what is it about? We'll look at how does that rule get in the way of you changing something you want to change in your life? And then I'll give you a nugget, a practical application of how you can work with that rule, okay? The first rule of the mind is your mind absolutely has to secure your survival at all cost. Now that one is obvious, right? If you're not there, your mind is not there, the whole thing sort of doesn't work. Where that comes from though, and how that shows up is, do you have this critical voice in your head that at times thinks people are stupid, or they shouldn't have done that, or you shouldn't have done this, or I don't want this to be this way, or I will be happy when? If you have those voices in your head, and I believe most people have them, then you also have that voice that you're probably not comfortable sharing, the voice that puts you down, that calls you names, that says, oh, you should have done that differently. Okay, here's the thing about that voice. Way back then, that voice had a purpose because it's your lookout, right? It's the survival part of your brain that is looking for what's wrong in the world around you. And why is that? Well, because whenever the leaves rustle, there might have been a saber-toothed tiger in there. 99 out of 100 times there wasn't. But the one time there was, any one of the species human that didn't have that voice in their head didn't make it, didn't procreate, so they died out. Today, we don't have enough danger anymore to keep that lookout busy. So it finds danger everywhere. It finds what's wrong with you, with others, with the situation everywhere, just because it needs something to do. And that comes with a lot of saboteurs, a lot of, negative self-talk, right? For you and for everyone. And how does your mind decide what is good for your survival and what is bad? What is that lookout looking for? Well, it's looking for pain to stay away from, and it's looking for pleasure to repeat, right? Pleasurable experiences enhance our chance for survival. And therein lies the problem. When you try something new, your mind doesn't know yet. Is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing? And in case of doubt, what is it going to decide? I don't want this. This might hurt. And if it might hurt, it might kill us, right? And so you stay away from it. So how do you work with that rule? This is what I would offer you. 2 things. First of all, take a real hard look at the thing you're trying to get away from. And then attach pain to what you want to get away from it. Let's take the example of eating. So you want to stop eating chips, you want to stop eating processed food. Get really vivid about what kind of crap you're putting in your body and what it does to your body. Link the existing behavior that you want to change to pain, because your mind will try and get away from it and will help you in getting away from it. Now, with the example I just used, that's easy to do. In some cases, not quite so easy. Then I invite you to look at something else. What is the cost of inaction? Sure, if your goal is to treat your spouse better, you can put that off if you don't feel like it today. You can put it off tomorrow. And before you know it, it's been 10 years of tomorrows, and you find yourself in a place you probably don't want your relationship to be in. Get yourself present to the pain of not doing anything to help your mind support you in taking action, right? And then, of course, the last or the third part to that is, and link the new behavior to as much pleasure as you can, whether that's in the form of a reward, in the form of a game, in the form of fun, right? Starting slow, whatever it is, right? Pleasure to where you want to get to, and pain as much as you can to where you're coming from. And all of a sudden, you stop fighting against yourself, and your mind will support you in your effort. That's the first rule of the mind. It will always secure your survival, and it will override anything and everything to do so. The second rule, your mind responds only to 2 things: the images and the words you yourself put there. I'd like you to pay attention real quick. I will say a word and I want you to pay attention to what images, what emotional responses, what comes up in your head when I have you think of this. Think of a syringe. Everybody got an image of some sort, right? Needles, yeah, doctors. Okay, that's a syringe. Now, if you're diabetic, the image that came up is probably something about this size that you inject somewhere that gives you the insulin shot that allows you to eat and that allows you to live. That's a good thing. You probably don't mind the pain. If you're into maintaining a youthful appearance, then you're thinking Botox, right? And pretty skin. Now, probably not in this group, but if you were an addict, you'd be thinking of your next high, okay? If you're like me, I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't, never mind. I think of the scar I have on the inside of my arm from regularly donating blood and doing good. It's all linked to syringes. Your response depends on what do you attach, right? To the trigger on the outside. The trigger is always the same. Your response depends on the words and the images in your mind, the stories you tell yourself about the situation, the other person, the relationship, about the thing you got to do. It's all about that. And the challenge in changing things is we're often unaware of the stories, the words, the images we attach to it. So I want to give you one practical nugget to take away from this rule. Whenever you catch yourself saying, oh, I should do this, I have to do that, I need to still get on that, pause for a moment and check the energy you're in. You can do this with something that is on your to-do list right now. Say, I need to still, I have to still, or I should still do this or that, and check your energy. Everybody done that? Okay, now I want you to try this. Say the very same thing. It's still the same thing, but start with, I get to, I choose to, or I want to. And pay attention to what happens to your body posture, what happens to your energy, and what happens to your entire perception of that thing. Going into stories, going into the images you have in your head, going into the limiting beliefs that are deeply ingrained in your brain is what I do one-on-one. That is work that takes quite a bit of involvement. But that little thing, change it from I have to, catch every I should, catch every I need to, and turn it around into the truth. You don't have to do anything except for at some point dying and paying your taxes. Everything else is a choice. So you get to, you choose to, and maybe you want to. The want to, you can fake it until you make it. In that case, it actually works, right? But when you put that image in your brain says, oh, all right, let's go do that. Rather than coming up with excuse after excuse after excuse, and you find yourself procrastinating for days on end. That's the second rule. Pay attention to the words and the images you put in your mind, because they run and they create your world. And then thirdly, this one sort of ties in with the first two. Your brain, your mind loves what is familiar. Evolutionary, that makes sense, right? Whatever is familiar is safe. And whatever didn't kill me today is likely not going to kill me tomorrow. You see this show up in your friends' lives. You see this show up anywhere in life when you pay attention to it. Anybody ever had a friend who introduced you to her new boyfriend and you take one look at him and say, oh my God, girl, what you doing? Hey, it's the same as the 6 before. How do you expect this to turn out any different? Well, she doesn't, but she can't help herself. Why? Because it's familiar. Not just from the guys she's dated before. No, it's likely her dad, or at least the kind of relationship she's in is familiar from growing up. Whatever your parents modeled for you, until you actively upgrade and change those images and everything else that goes with it in your head, your mind will stay with what's familiar. And yes, that sounds pathetic when you say, but I don't want this and it doesn't feel good, right? But there's not enough pain attached to it to let go of it. And it's familiar and therefore safe. Look at the statistics for how many lottery winners are broke again within a number of after 2 or 3 years. Why? Because having money, lots of it, is not familiar. and they don't have the skill to deal with it. So that's where you see that third rule in action. Here's the problem. When you want to do something different, something new, is that familiar? Yeah, no, not so much. And that's the problem, right? Your mind rejects it just for the sheer fact that it's not familiar. And here's how you can get around that. Very simple, very easy. It sort of draws in the second rule as well. When you set out to go, say you want to start working out every day, right? Usually you would say, oh, I'm going to go work out every morning. I'm going to get up at 5 and I'm going to have my running shoes sitting there and I'm going to just go and do it. Yeah, your brain is going to go, oh, you freaking nuts. That is not something we do. We don't like this. You're going to be sick tomorrow, or you're going to sleep in, or you're going to forget to set your alarm. You know all the things. Or if you manage to wake up, oh, I'm going to put you right back down to sleep because we do not like what's not familiar. You're getting the point? All right, I'll slow down. Because here is how, with a very simple application of all the three rules together, you can get this rule to work for you. Just start from, I'm making it familiar to work out every morning. I'm making it familiar to spend more time with my kids. I'm making it familiar to tackle my most important task first. Check your energy when you say it that way and see what happens. Because what you're telling your brain is, in a way, your brain does not compute tenses and time. So when you say, I'm making it familiar to your brain, it already sort of is familiar. And anything that's familiar is a good thing. And if we're making this familiar, we actually want this. All right, I'll help you. Right? Quick recap. First rule of the mind, check yourself, right? Survival. And working with that rule means you want to attach as much pain as you can to the habit that you're trying to get away from, and as much pleasure as possible, right, to the thing you want to get to. And if you have to, and ideally you look at, and what does it cost me? How does it hurt me if I do nothing? Secondly, wherever you go, pay attention to the words, the images, the stories you have in your head about the things around you, because they create your world. The starting point, I do this with my clients all the time. They know I'm a broken record with this. I hear a should, a could, a have to, a must anywhere. I say up, up, up. You don't have to. You don't need to. But you get to. You choose to. And you may even want to. And just approaching it that way will change your world. And thirdly, your mind loves what's familiar and it clings to what's familiar. So when you introduce something new, just lead your mind there by saying, I'm making this familiar. And here's my invitation to you. We're going to take a few minutes in small groups for you to get together and just each take a minute or two and reflect on what stood out for you from the three rules. And maybe you see somewhere where you've been sort of fighting against one of those rules because you didn't know better. And then I really want to focus you on, and how and where are you going to apply one of the things you've taken from this in your life? Because information is worthless if it doesn't lead to insight. And I don't play for insight. I play for action that actually impacts your life. So I'm going to go ahead, put you in groups of 3. And then I'm going to give you, how many do we have? 28. So let's do, let's do 9 rooms. Actually, let's do 8 rooms. So then some of you will be in 8s and some of you will be in 4s. We'll do about 7 minutes. So do watch the time and do remember the agreement we have for this workshop, right? Keep an open mind, see what you can learn from others and learn for yourself. And I especially ask that you keep an open heart. Share vulnerably as much as you're comfortable, right? Let others see you show up and create a space for everyone to take away insights and actions that can impact their life. Thank you for your support in this, and I'll see you back here in about 7 minutes. See you back here in oh yeah, still take myself off video. Okay. And so with that, I want you to just make yourselves comfortable. It doesn't really matter whether you're seated or lying down. Just make yourself comfortable with your hands and feet not quite touching. And I want you to now look up just as high as you possibly can, as we've just talked about, right? As though you wanted to look into your own eyebrows. And now, with your eyeballs rolled up, take a few deep breaths. Just breathe in relaxation, calmness, tranquility. And with every exhalation, just let go. Let go of any thoughts, let go of any to-do items that you're still carrying around with you. Just let go. And again, breathe in. Your eyeballs are still rolled up just as high as you possibly can. It's all right if it's uncomfortable, just don't have it be painful. And then breathe out and let go. And just one final time. And on your next exhalation, I want you to keep your eyeballs rolled up. And this time as you exhale, just close your eyelids right down, all the way down. And as your eyelids shut down, the muscles and nerves in and around your eyes are becoming heavy, droopy, and drowsy. Your eyelids are starting to feel right now as if they've been glued, shut, sealed, shut, locked together. But you can just forget all about your eyes. And you can forget all about the position of your eyes and your eyeballs too. Just let them go wherever you feel comfortable. And just let yourself relax. And you just enjoy the drifting, floating sensation that is spreading throughout your body. And you take a moment to just be there. And I just want you to drop your chin just a fraction now so that you really feel like that same looking down feeling that you might get as you look over a balcony or down a flight of stairs. And now that you have that looking down sensation, as I count you back from 10 to 1, you're going to see your feet, hear your feet, feel your feet treading each step. Don't worry about being visual. Every word I'm saying and everything you're hearing is causing your inner mind to picture everything I'm describing, even if you think you can't see it. So you're looking down 10 steps now, and you're moving on to step 10 right now, as every muscle, every nerve turns loose, lets loose, and you go deeper. You're taking step 9 and 8. And you can see your feet, hear your feet, even feel your feet treading each step. As you move down, drift down, travel down to an even deeper level. You're taking step 7 and 6, going deeper with every step you take and every number I count. You're taking step 5. And you're already halfway down as each muscle, every nerve turns loose, lets loose, and you go deeper. You're taking step 4 and 3 as you gently, calmly, easily move on over to an even deeper level. You're going deeper and deeper with every sound you hear. Every sound and noise, every movement around you is carrying you deeper and further into your wonderful meditation. You're taking step 2 and 1. Just go deeper. And deeper just means you're going deeper into an awareness of yourself. Just go deeper, drift deeper, and sink deeper too. And every time I click my fingers and I say these words, go deeper, drift deeper, you're simply going deeper and deeper into a wonderful awareness of yourself. So one more time, just go deeper, drift deeper, and sink deeper still. And as you go deeper into yourself, as you go deeper into that perfect relaxed state, I want you to hold that perfect little baby in your arms, that baby that was you, that newborn baby that came into the world expecting to be loved, expecting love to be available, and it is available every day as you look into the mirror and you give yourself your statement of truth. And you say, I am enough. You say it every morning, you say it every night, you say it in the shower, you think it as you brush your teeth, anywhere you go, you think, I am enough. And you help yourself remember and say it all the time. You write it in so many places, and every day you know that you are enough. Like every child born onto this planet, you remember the belief that you are enough. You are absolutely lovable just the way you are. And every day you feel it. Every day you become the loving parent to yourself. And every day you tell that young child, you're smart enough. You're gorgeous enough, beautiful enough, handsome enough. You are intelligent. You matter. You are kind. You belong here. You're meant to be here. You have a place in this world. You are absolutely worthy. You are absolutely lovable just the way you are. You always have been enough, and you always will be enough. And as you let that inner child in you know that you are enough, you too know it. You resonate it, and everyone around you knows it too. You're not your past. You're not your childhood. You're not your body. You're not the numbers in your bank account. You're not your age. What you are is a walking, talking expression of this statement of truth that you say to yourself every day. I am enough. You say it with certainty. You say it with unshakable, unwavering conviction and confidence because it is true. You are more than enough. You always have been. You certainly always will be. And you help so many people around you to know that they are enough. You write it in so many places. You write it on your mirror. You put it on your phone. You repeat it. You let it in. Because you also understand now that believing I'm not enough is the root of so many issues. And because you know you are enough, that makes you determined to be the person you were destined to be. Talented, smart, successful, in control of your life, and you live an uncompromised life because you know you are enough. You tell your mind over and over again that you're enough, and your mind learns by repetition. You know that your mind simply cannot, does not, and will not ever object to this statement of truth. I am enough. You feel it, you say it. It's becoming who you are. It isn't just what you do, it's who you are. You are enough. And so just let yourself go deeper. And as you go deeper into an absolutely relaxed state, you are aware of a powerful, massive transformation taking place in you now and always. And as you go deeper, you remember that little baby that was certain, so sure that you were enough when you were born. And as you remember that, your brilliant mind is reactivating, regenerating, and recreating that same ability. You know you are enough. And we still all carry within us emotional wounds from our childhood, the things we wish we had heard or heard more often. And as you go deeper, I want you to picture that younger version of you, that young child who still lives inside of you. And as you go deeper, reach out your hand or hold the child in your arms, whichever feels more comfortable to you right now. And don't worry about being visual. Your mind responds powerfully to the words you hear, even if you think you cannot see it. So I want you to hold that younger version of yourself. And as you go deeper and you strengthen the connection, I want you to say out loud to yourself the things that the little child longs to hear, has waited to hear for so many years. You might start with, I love you. You belong here. You are enough. I am proud of you. And I will leave the space for you to keep going. Say what comes to you. Say what resonates with you and with that younger version of you. Say the things you've always wanted to hear. Repeat what resonates most. You're doing great. This is your space. This is your time. Just keep going. Your mind responds to the words and the images you put there, and the words you tell yourself have the most powerful, the most healing power over your mind. So keep going. Your mind learns best through repetition. Tell yourself all the things that are coming up for you, the things you've always wanted to hear. You're doing wonderful. And this is your space and your time. Now I'll give you just another brief moment to say what you haven't said yet, to repeat what resonated most. Excellent. You're now feeling it, knowing it, believing it. You are enough. And these words stay with you because it's the absolute truth about you. It is who you are. You are enough. You've always been enough, and you certainly always will be enough. And now, feeling it, radiating it, believing it, and being proud of yourself for the wonderful transformation that you have just gone through, you internalize it. And these words stay with you. I am enough follows you. And with this quiet sense of conviction and confidence, feeling free, feeling powerful, you are preparing to return. And at the count of 1, you start to notice your surroundings. At the count of 2, you can sense your fingers and toes. On the count of 3 and 4, you take a deep breath and draw in this belief of I am enough. And on the count of 5, feeling confident, feeling proud of yourself, and absolutely knowing you are enough, you open your eyes and you're right back in the here and now. Found at least a big part of the words and the images that your mind wants you to put there to support that change. And you can do that anytime you like for yourself. And what I want to invite you to do is get present to where in your life do you feel stuck with something that you want to change, but you haven't managed yet? Where do you want to go and play? And then I invite you to consider this. Whether that habit, that behavior, or that situation you're looking at is a problem in your life or an opportunity for growth, has nothing to do with the thing itself. It has everything to do with how you view it. And how you view that situation, that habit, that thing, in turn has nothing to do with the thing itself and everything to do with the stories you tell yourself about it. If you say it's hard to change it, then it will be hard to change it, right? If you're making it familiar, you can approach it differently. And my invitation to maybe 1 or 2 of you is this. If you want to share what came up for you and have me lean in with a bit of life coaching, I will